You know, when people think of Florida, they think of the beaches and maybe even the tourist attractions and the hustle and bustle of city life. But here in Crestview, things are done just a little bit differently. And I want to show you guys why living in Crestview is truly a unique experience and why there's a lot of things that even some locals will miss at first. Hey there, it's Andrew with the Original Life on the Emerald Coast channel, and today we're going to be talking all about Crestview. We're going to try to make this one short, sweet, and to the point, but give you enough information that you really understand what living here in this beautiful city is all about. If you've been exploring your options here in Northwest Florida, you may have already heard about Crestview. Good, bad, ugly, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of things that could get overlooked, and I want to make sure that we clear all that up so that you can have an honest look about this city and see if it's right for you. Before we dive in, if you're thinking about moving to Crestview or anywhere along the Emerald Coast, you found the right channel. All of my information will pop up on the screen. You can call me, text me, reach out however you'd like, and we can help you find the right home. So when we're talking about Crestview, let's start with the overall vibe of the city. Now, Crestview is not going to be your hustle and bustle beach town. In fact, it's going to be quite the opposite. It's going to feel more like a nice rural, open spaces, a little bit of space between you and your neighbors sort of town. It's kind of that small town feeling. So you'll get to enjoy a peaceful town without sacrificing anything. This is the kind of town that you're going to get to know your neighbors. You're going to see friendly faces as you go around town, and it's going to give you a great overall sense of community. Unlike some of our more tourist-heavy cities here along the Emerald Coast, you're not going to have to deal with some of the same things in Crestview that we do here along the actual water. The tourism, the extra crowdedness, everything just being a little bit more busy. Everything's going to kind of take a slower pace up in Crestview. In fact, it's a bit of a breather from some of the busier beach cities we have. So if you're someone that likes to unwind in your own neighborhood and kind of just take it all in and not have to worry so much about all of the craziness that comes with living in this beautiful area, but still love access to going to the dining, going to the restaurants, going to the beach, going out on the water, and all the other things we're going to talk about in today's video, then Crestview might be the best spot for you. With a population of only 28,000 people, it's just big enough where you're going to have absolutely everything you need in town, but small enough that you don't feel like you're on top of all of your neighbors and that everything is busy and hectic and crazy. So when we're talking about Crestview, I'd be doing it a big disservice if we didn't talk about the location a little bit. The location is one of those things that a lot of people actually think on at kind of a downfall, right? Because it is 40 minutes from the beach. And well, hey, I moved to Florida, I want to be near the beach. And so a lot of people kind of take that approach. But in reality, when we look at the location of Crestview, it's actually pretty nice where it's at. Being the hub city, as it's called, because it's kind of a hub between some major highways going in and out, you've got quick access to just about every major city around us without having to trample through all of the smaller cities to get to one of the main roads. And I want to take just a moment to kind of give you a little bit of the commute times that you can expect if you are living here in Crestview. First off, it's about 45 minutes away from the famed Destin, the name that everybody knows. It's only about 45 minutes. And it's just 48 minutes to the Silver Sand outlets, which I don't know how many stores are out there. It's got to be at least 100, but it is a huge footprint of just a ton of different stores. For those of you that like to go out shopping, maybe you only do it once a year, what have you. It's nice that it's close enough to get to very easily, and you're not going to have to deal with the traffic because you're going to be coming from a different angle, which is always a good thing. For those of you that are going to be working out at either of the main bases closest to Crestview, that would be Duke Field and Eglin Air Force Base. From the heart of Crestview, it's about 20 minutes to get to Duke Field. It's really about 3 minutes. If you're like in South Crestview, it's very quick to get to. But from the heart of town, it's about 20 minutes to get to Duke Field. It's about 29 minutes to get to Eglin Air Force Base. Now, some of this is going to be traffic dependent, but generally going out to these areas, you're not going to deal with as much traffic. You will, however, deal with a little bit of traffic coming back. Duke Field, not as much because you're really kind of already through most of the traffic. You're going to hit a small portion of it. But if you are coming from Eglin Air Force Base, you can expect that drive to be 45 minutes pretty regularly if you're coming back home from the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. hours. Now, those are a couple of the great places here locally, and I've got some more I'm going to touch on a little bit later, but I wanted to kind of subsection them off a little bit. But I do want to talk about some other major attractions that you're close to. One reason a lot of people come to Florida is to enjoy some of the major attractions that we have out here, such as Disney World. Orlando, Florida, or Disney World in general, I mapped it out for 5 hours and 45 minutes from the heart of Crestview to the front door of Disney World. So if you'd like to take a nice weekend trip out there, it's not going to be that difficult. And of course, you can fly, and there's lots of options for that. But if you are somebody that likes road trips, it's just 5 hours and 45 minutes away. Probably maybe 6.5 hours with breaks. And if you want to head up north to Atlanta, that is just 4 hours away. And then, of course, for those of you that you like gambling a little bit, we don't have a whole ton of that in Florida. We've got a little bit. But if you really want to get onto some of the tables and the slot machines and things, Biloxi is just 2.5 hours away. Now, let's shift our focus a little bit into housing, because if you're going to be moving down here, this is going to be a major, major decision factor for you in which town you live in. Obviously, every town along the Emerald Coast is going to have a different price range in what they offer, but Crestview is definitely one of the most affordable. There are a couple of smaller towns around Crestview that are even more affordable than what I'm going to mention here, but this is just for Crestview proper. You can basically expect more house for your buck, a bigger lot, a bigger house, better amenities, and overall more room to stretch out. You're not going to be sitting on top of your neighbors. And this makes Crestview an incredible place to invest in your family's future. Not only that, it's also a growing town, so it's got a lot of room for equity gain down the road. So if you're looking for a place that you can get on the ground floor of something special over the next 10, 20, 30 years, Crestview is a phenomenal place for you. Now let's get into some of the actual details of what you can expect to afford out here. The average sold price, the median sold price, this is getting rid of the outliers on either side, was $319,000 this month. The average home is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,850 square foot home that is fairly upgraded. Now, at $319,000, you're not going to get absolutely everything upgraded to the T. You are going to have to increase that budget just a little bit, but you are going to get most of the newer amenities and just about everything you can want in a home. The rough estimate on what a mortgage like this would look like would be somewhere between $1,800 and $1,900. Now, I am not a loan officer or anything like that. This is just using basic calculators online, and just from what we see every single day, we help hundreds of people every single year buy and sell into and out of the area, so it's just purely based off of that. Now, of course, as interest rates change, that's going to, of course, get lower as interest rate looks like it is dropping. Right now, I estimated that at 6.5% interest rate. So for about $1,900 a month, you're getting a fairly sizable house with just about everything you can want. Now, what if you don't want to purchase? There's nothing wrong with that. We can definitely assist in some of the rentals as well, but you are going to pay a little bit of a premium for renting, as that's the case all along the Emerald Coast here. The median rent last month was just shy of $2,000. About $1,980 is kind of where it fell at overall. And that is a 3-bed. They range from a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,100 square feet, so considerably smaller. But at the higher end of that, we had a 4-bed, 2-bath at 2,000 square feet, so fairly comparable. Bottom line here is, if you are going to be renting, you're going to most likely have a smaller home, not quite as upgraded, and pay just a little bit more for it. But all in all, even at $1,980 a month or $2,000 a month, it's still not that bad across, the industry standard across the country. Now, there's another thing that gets overlooked at with Crestview a lot, and that is all of the great outdoors activities that you can do. Crestview is absolutely surrounded by forests and just beautiful scenery all throughout the city. And for a short drive, you can get over to Blackwater River State Park. For those of you that have watched this channel before, you know that I talk about this a lot. I love tubing and kayaking out there. It's just a good time. If this is your guys' first time to this channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and dinging that bell. We do videos from Pensacola to Panama City Beach and everything in between. But Blackwater River State Forest is 27-minute drive away, of course, from the heart to the heart. And that is to one of my favorite canoe rental places. Technically, if you want to get in the middle of Blackwater River State Forest, it's like 31 minutes or something like that. But if you're going down there just a tube or kayak, drop a paddleboard in the water or something like that, it's under 30 minutes to get to. And of course, you can go hiking and trail walking and trail riding and jeep riding, and it just, the list goes on and on. If it's an outdoorsy style activity like that, they've got it over there, short of mountain climbing, because, well, we are in Florida. Even though Crestview is the highest elevation in the state, it's still not quite a mountain by any means. And on top of that, we've got tons of parks inside and just outside of the city and other walking trails and things like that. One of these parks is Twin Hills Park. This thing is huge. It's amazing. There's lots of ducks. You can feed them. They might attack you. It's a good time. They don't really attack you, but I mean, they kind of feel a little bit aggressive for what they are, especially for the fact that we're feeding them. But it's a good time nonetheless. You can take your kids out there. You can go out there solo. You can just go out there walking and enjoy nature. And it's right in the heart of the city. Now, if you do want to head out to the beach or get to some water, it's about 41 minutes to get to Okaloosa Island, which would be the nearest beach from Crestview. About 45 to 47 minutes, something like that, to get to the beaches in Destin, but those are going to be a little bit more crowded than they are on Okaloosa Island, so I'd highly suggest you go on Okaloosa Island. And if you don't know any of our secret beach spots, definitely go into our channel, search for our beach spots video, because we do have some pretty cool places that really the tourists know for the most part, and the locals know, and a lot of the tourists do not. And if Blackwater River wasn't good enough and the beach isn't what you're looking for, we've also got Vortex Springs, just 48 minutes to your east. The Vortex Springs, if you have not seen it, is absolutely beautiful. We actually have been meaning to get out there to get a bunch of footage for some of the B-roll. So if you're seeing anything in the background as I'm talking, it's probably not a vortex unless we're able to find some. But we are going to go out there at some point and get some great video for you guys, because it is absolutely fun. And I haven't been out there in a couple of years, so I'm long overdue. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the family-friendly atmosphere. Crestview is known for this. In fact, Crestview has an incredible sense of community that you really can't understand unless you move there and live in the community itself. There's always local events, community events, farmers markets. There's just a bunch of stuff going on at just about any given time, primarily on the weekends, but even during the week. So no matter what your work schedule is like, there's stuff for you to do to get out in the community and just be part of the whole thing. A lot of people believe that Crestview is an outstanding place to raise a family as well. With schools that have pretty good ratings and kind of a safe, quieter environment, it just makes parents feel a little bit more comfortable raising their children there. You'll find that Crestview is one of these cities where, for the most part, the neighbors are looking out for each other. Your community is helping look out for you. I think a lot of this is in part to the very heavy military presence we have there, but I don't think that's the only reason. I think that it's just the overall community in general. It's a lot of like-minded folks that are more budget conscious. They want to live somewhere more affordable and not have to spend the outrageous prices, that you might see out to get onto the water or in one of the water neighboring cities, if you will. It's important to them. The family-friendly environment's important. The schools, safety, the location, all of that. And so when you get a whole bunch of people with that sort of like-mindedness, it kind of creates that sense of community a little bit stronger. So there are several things to do in and around of town that I want to talk about. First off, Crestview has its own zoo. This is actually one zoo that I've not been to personally, the Emerald Coast Zoo, but I've heard it's great. I've seen lots of videos and footage of it. So if that's something that interests you, definitely head out there and go check it out. We already talked about Twin Hills Park, but there's also the Carver Hill Museum. In fact, they've got a Panhandle Opry out there in Crestview, believe that or not. You've got Timber Creek Distillery. We've got numerous walking and biking trails, jeep trails, all of that stuff that I already kind of mentioned. I sort of jumped the gun on that when we were talking about it earlier. There's just a lot of different things to do, even inside of the city. So if you didn't want to go out to go to the beach or go shopping, go into Destin, go into some of the touristy areas, you've got everything that you need there, plus some. So those are just a few of the things that you'll love about living in Crestview that a lot of people don't see at first. So whether it's the affordable housing, the peaceful vibe, the access to the beach and outdoor nature, there's something for everybody here in Crestview. If you're ready to make a move or you'd like to dive a little bit further into Crestview, you've got a couple of options. You can always reach out to us. All of my information will pop up on the screen. My team is here to help you. A bunch of us have lived here for decades and decades, and so we definitely have you covered. We've got Crestview specialists. In fact, we've got a specialist for every single city along the Emerald Coast. So you can reach out that way, or if you're not quite ready to talk to us, which by the way, there's no time too early. You can always pick up the phone and call us, and we can kind of help direct you a little bit into which of the Emerald Coast cities might be best for you. But if that's not you, you're just not ready yet, don't worry, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell, go through our videos, just type the word Crestview and there's a search bar you can go into and you can see all of that. Or we're actually going to put a Crestview playlist right here or right here. I can never remember which side it goes on, but it's a little gray bar that goes right up here. You can click on that and that will keep a running playlist of all of the things Crestview. So if Crestview is the right place for you, you can learn absolutely everything you need to about this amazing city. I appreciate you watching. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. If you're watching me for the very first time, also thank you. So again, my name is Andrew. I'm with the Life on the Emerald Coast team, and we'll see you guys in the next one.